All right, guys.
Welcome.
Welcome to our very first episode, very first podcast ever in our life.
We are starting off with a topic we thought was really juicy.
Yes.
Had a lot of information, a lot of tea, something really specific that only we would know about, or if you've been in the music industry.
Yeah, we feel like over the years we've had a lot of interesting stories and just a lot to talk about on this topic, and a lot of things that people majority have a lot of questions about that we feel like we can answer.
Yeah, a lot of assumptions around the radio. So basically what people always tell us, or they'll come up to us, they're like, oh, I love this song. It should totally be on the radio. And not to be, putting down anybody who isn't in the industry, but that is not how it works. It is not that easy.
It's such a simple phrase that anytime anybody says it to me, the amount of stress and anxiety that just pops into my head.
Oh yeah, let me just put it on the radio. Sure.
The steps to get it on the radio is it's unbelievable how many steps there are.
So basically, to dive into this conversation, we need to talk about how radio actually works. So in your head, you might just think, oh, I'm going to literally go to the radio station or tweet them or DM them my song, and they're going to open the DM and be like, wow, this song is really good. And then they're just going to play it. But that is so not the case.
I will say sometimes with DJs, they will throw some new artists if they have some traction, a bone. But majority of the time it has to go through about 3, 4, 5 people to even get on the radio person's desk.
Yeah. So I have written down here that radio, you have a team of people for radio. So there's usually, if you're signed to a label, you have a radio team, and that is a promoter who goes literally across the country for you, without you, and just will travel to these different radio stations in every single city.
And the major labels have certain promoters for certain areas. So,
yes, that's so true.
Yeah. So in New York City, a major label will have 3, 4, 5, probably even more promoters that their entire job is to just go to radio stations, talk to the program director, which we will get into later, and try and get that song on the radio. Yeah.
So Sony will have 5 Sony reps repping all of the Sony artists, and they will just go to the radio station every day and quite literally just talk to the program director and be like, hey, I have this new artist. I have this new song. Do you like them or do you not? And then they will bother them every day until they play the song.
A radio promoter's job is literally just to bother the radio program director.
Yes, it's to bother and to schmooze and to cultivate these relationships. And you're not even involved in that.
No.
There are some, I feel like for us, there were some promoters that we never even met.
No,
right?
You would just hear their name in passing, or when we would go to the station, the promoter would show up at that station, and we'd be like, thanks for all the hard work, man, or ma'am.
Some random person in Des Moines.
Yeah.
You're like, I've literally never met you, but you've been sitting here pumping our song to this man to play it on the radio, and it's been working or it hasn't been working.
So I guess we should lead into next what the program director is.
Yeah, no, that's a big one.
Yeah.
That's a big one.
The program director is basically the king of the radio station. He controls...
The power is in his hands.
It is. We have met some really great program directors over the years, though. They're all usually really, really nice people, and that's how they got to where they are. But their job is basically just they control who gets added to a radio station, which when you get added to a radio station, it means your song is in rotation. And they also control how many spins a day it gets.
And that's how you determine actually a number one song or a charting song, is how many spins, quote unquote, so how many plays your song is getting. So there's different tiers of being quote unquote added. So they can quote unquote add your song
and play it 3 times a day.
Yeah.
And at night.
At night, yeah. Or they can play it in power rotation.
Yes.
Where they play it every hour, multiple times.
Yep.
And that's what you want. But that is all up to the program directors.
Yes.
And it's based on truly if they like the song, if they like you, and if they like the promoter.
Yes. And the program director also controls the holiday shows, has a big say in who is playing their holiday shows that year.
I will say, though, I think nowadays iHeart owns so much or so many of the radio stations that I think it's a little bit harder for like an independent artist to get anything like that, because it's all like corporate now. Whereas like for us, back in 2012, yes, iHeart owned a lot of stations, but there were still across America these like independent stations that were like not controlled by anything other than just the labels that would come in and talk about their music.
And there's two really, really big radio companies, and they are iHeart Radio, which everybody knows, like I feel like, and Cumulus. And they own majority of the radio stations that you listen to across the country.
Okay, so looking at more radio lingo, we've kind of gone through spins, we've gone through program director, we've gone through ad, and top 40. When you listen to top 40 radio, do you actually know what that means? I know you do, but...
I'm like, I think I do.
Basically, that means that your song has been spun so many times that it is in the top 40 songs played in the country.
So yes, top 40 is collectively the entire country, whereas an individual radio station, you could be number one on their list, but that just helps you in like the big chart, which is the top 40 chart.
Yes. Our song.
Which song are you referring to, Liz?
Our song Bad For Me. What did it peak at? I actually don't know.
34.
34?
Yes.
Oh my gosh. I thought it was lower than that.
No, it was 34, which for an independent artist, especially at pop radio, that is such a feat. And I think we only had maybe 10 people promoting our song.
10 is being generous.
I think you're right.
Yeah, but that's the difference between, we were on an indie label, so we didn't have 5 people in each city, even each little market, like say I don't even know, like Wichita, you know what I mean? Like these little smaller city stations.
Oh, South Bend, Indiana.
South Bend, Indiana. Yeah, we didn't have people there going to promote our song.
Yeah.
So the fact that we got a top 40 song was insane.
That shows just how hard our team worked.
Yes.
How hard the promoters were working. And also, I mean, I feel like our time at radio was so positive, and I genuinely loved so many people. I still follow so many of them on Instagram and like Facebook and all that stuff, because they were all such like great people.
And let's talk about that a little bit, because the reason that Bad For Me did so well was because we had people championing it. Like, for example, in Buffalo, New York. You know Buffalo, New York.
Oh, I know and love Buffalo, New York.
We love Buffalo, New York, because that station played our song like it was a #1 song.
Yes.
Like, they played Bad For Me every hour, multiple times, and it showed, because that's what an artist wants. You want radio because it means that you can go to that city and you can play a show, and fans will care about you.
Yes.
So we played, was it
Christmas Bash?
Was it Christmas Bash?
Yes.
Sometimes I get the Jingle Bells and the Christmas Bash kind of mixed up.
Yes, it was Christmas Bash.
We played that in an arena, and that was one of the best nights of my life.
To this day.
To this day, because they played our song so much.
And I mean, it showed in the shows that we would play there too. We always had such a good turnout when we would go headline Buffalo, New York.
Yes. And that is the power of radio. And that is why it's so powerful. And people can say all you want, oh, radio isn't powerful or whatever. But even 10 years ago, it was powerful. And I still think that holds true today. I really do.
Yeah. So these are some radio hacks that we have, or I don't even know if it's hacks. I don't know if it's hacks. It's just kind of like secrets and tricks that we've learned that labels do over the years.
You will not be able to unhear these things when you listen to the radio now.
Yeah. So can I start with my favorite one?
Of course.
Okay, so if you're listening to the radio and you hear a really old song, like a really old hit,
like a classic smash, Teenage
like,
Dream.
Yes, something like that. And the odds are that the next song will be a brand new song that you've never heard before, and then the next song will be another timeless smash, like We Are Young by Fun or something like that. And that is because they sandwich the new songs in between old songs so that it helps people not tune out of the radio station.
Because the whole name of the game and how radio stations make money is through ads.
Yes.
So they do not want anybody clicking off that radio station. So they're going to sandwich that brand new song that nobody's heard in between two smashes.
Because people don't like new as a whole.
They don't.
People don't like new. It takes the average person hearing a song 7 times.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yes. Before they think, oh, I've heard this song before. I think I kind of like it.
It is so crazy though, because whenever we're in the car together and we hear like an old song, we're like, oh, what new one are they going to play next? And like,
sure enough,
they do it in pop radio. They do it in country radio. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's a good one. And now you're going to hear it. When you're listening to the radio, you're going to hear it. Another thing, we talked about spins earlier. So
spins equals plays.
Equals ranking on Billboard, ranking on top radio. Like it means a lot. So what a lot of people don't know is that labels will pay for a radio station to play a song. It is not all like honesty. A program director, a radio station will get paid in cash, in vacations, in meet and greets with other artists on the label, whatever, what have you, in order for this song to get played. And you can always tell that the song is being paid to be played when it's played overnight.
And also, this is super under the table stuff that's happening too.
Yes.
Like, that is technically illegal. So
it's
people
bribery.
Yeah, so people do it really under the table. Like they'll send dinner, like restaurant gift cards. They'll send they'll book vacations. It's all really under the radar stuff that like can't be tracked back.
But it's happening, and that is how a lot of the songs sometimes. You'll look at the chart and you'll be like, that song is a number 1. Like I never hear that song, or
I've heard that song maybe one time.
Mm-hmm. And then I guarantee if you turn on that radio at 2 a.m., it's being spun every other song.
Yep.
And nobody's listening, but it's being paid, which is crazy. Another one is they speed up songs. Sometimes.
Oh, yes. We learned that the first time that we went to, it was at 107.5 The River in Nashville when we went The Day Bad For Me came out. And that's when they told us they speed up all songs by like, it's such a minuscule amount.
Yeah.
But it just makes your song sound like better on the radio that way. Yeah. And that's where the phrase like, oh, your song sounds really good on the radio comes from. It's because they speed it up just a little bit. And you will be able to tell now when you listen to songs.
Yeah, you're like, why does this song sound so fast? Or like, why can't I keep up?
Yeah. So it's not in your head if it sounds faster, basically. And not all radio stations do that. I don't think. The speeding up of the songs.
No. I think it's just, and I also think it depends on the song.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, I have written down in here about how certain radio stations will not play certain songs.
Yes.
Based on their demographic.
Fifth Harmony Boss was a great example.
Fifth Harmony Boss. Did you read that, or are you just like thinking about it?
No, I was thinking because I remember that was a really, really hot topic when it came out.
Yes. Yeah. Because we were going to radio stations at that point.
Yeah.
Or we were just like really, I don't know if we were.
No, we were going because I remember a DJ telling us that's why they weren't playing it, because they said Michelle Obama, and it was a more Republican skewed market. And
they were like, they don't like, the audience hates that Michelle Obama was mentioned in this song, which means that their song did not get played. And that song was a radio failure. Yeah. Wasn't it?
Oh yeah, for sure. Their first radio hit was Worth It.
Yeah. But like they came out with Boss and they were like, this is it. And you could tell they put the full court press on it, but certain, like half the country wouldn't play it.
Yeah.
Like that is so crazy.
That is really crazy. Another fun, it's, why did I say fun?
It's not fun. It wasn't fun for us.
Another thing that radio stations will do is, for us, for example, at the time, it was our song, Bad for Me, and Bridget Mendler's Ready or Not. Mm-hmm. And we were two new artists, young female artists, with an upbeat pop song. And radio stations can't just play both.
Heaven forbid you have two young girl like pop songs on the radio at once. Heaven forbid.
So either what we found was most of the radio stations were playing either or. Like
Yep.
you were either playing Megan and Liz Bad for Me, or you were playing Bridget Mendler Ready or Not.
Yeah.
Although I will say a couple of them threw us both a bone. Mm-hmm. But
they also had us play all of these radio shows together.
Yes.
Like we played so many shows with Bridget Mendler. Did you know that she's like, have you seen what's going on with her recently?
Yes, she's like, doesn't she go to like MIT or something?
She went to MIT and then she like started this like competitor to like Elon Musk's like Neuralink or something.
So she's really smart.
I know.
And
look at us.
And that's so funny too, because you could almost tell she was always so sweet, but you could always tell that she was just like either exhausted or really bored. I feel like every time we saw her, she was just like, hey guys, like I'm here. Like she was like
because just like, oh, you know, just like another one of my talents. Like I'm smart, I'm talented, I'm, you know, and not in like a cocky way, but just like yeah, no, this is just something I do.
Yeah.
And
I mean, it turns out she is just really smart and talented, because she was an actress, a singer, and her song I think peaked at 26 at radio.
Yeah.
Ready or Not did. And then now she's just like,
you know, Megan,
smart.
Some of us are creating competitors to Neuralink, and some of us are promoting Liquid IV.
You know what? And that's okay.
This podcast is brought to you.
No, but really, if you've been following us for any amount of time, you know how much Liz and I love our Liquid IV.
It really is brought to you by Liquid IV. We have a code.
Yeah, we do. We each have a code.
Yeah.
So I'm like, pick your favorite twin. Use whoever's code you like more.
We'll see who gets more.
No,
what is it? Is it for 20% off?
It's for 25%
25% off.
Yes, and free shipping.
And free shipping. You can use code Stella218.
Or Megan Mace.
Yeah. And yeah, so Liquid IV, we love you. We love electrolytes.
Yes. What's your favorite flavor?
Tangerine.
Okay, that's
without a doubt.
That's my top 3.
And lemon lime.
I think my favorite is Concord grape, which is like, that's an interesting favorite, but
I could never.
I know you don't like that one.
No,
but tangerine is up there. The one with the vitamin C.
I will never forget the first time this is so off topic, but I will never forget the first time that I had a Liquid IV. It was at your bachelorette party the morning after we were all drinking for one night or another, and it was in our like little care bags that I put together, but I just never had one, and I was like, oh my gosh.
I mean, those things bring you back to life.
No,
after
they do.
A hangover.
No, they actually do. It was like, I was like, I feel like a superhuman.
Yeah.
So
no, they are not only electrolytes, good for you, like drink them anyway, but like also really good hangover hack.
They somehow make you superhuman.
Yeah.
So love you, Bridge.
Shout out to Bridget.
Can't wait to see where your company takes us. Okay. Moving on to radio tour.
So our first radio tour was back in the year 2011 with this sweet, sweet man named Bob. It was just us and Bob in a car.
In a rental.
Yep. Just driving around the country.
Well, hold on. We weren't promoting Bad For Me.
No.
We were promoting Are You Happy Now?
Yes, our first song that was technically at radio and played on the radio was Are You Happy Now? But that was also kind of a controversial song to start with. And that's the thing with radio songs, is I feel like sometimes the risky songs work and sometimes they don't. And this one was just a little too controversial, but the radio stations that played it did really well.
Yeah.
Ooh, is this where we can talk about what researching is when a song researches well?
Of course.
So this song, it was in Wisconsin, right? That they played it in Power. And it researched so well for them. And by research, they mean they literally have people that call and random people in the market and just be like, do you know this song? Do you like this song? Have you heard this song? And if they're like, no, I don't like this song, yes, I've heard it, then that just sends your song down in research, which in turn takes your spins down. Because if it's not researching well, then people don't want to listen to the radio because they don't want to hear your song.
Yeah. Then they're tuning off, and then like you're losing the ads and that whole shebang. But I wonder if they still do that today. I feel like there's got to be some sort of like online equivalent now.
Yeah, because back in the day, they were literally calling people, and I was like, man, I want them to call me.
Yeah, I'd be like, I love that "Are You Happy Now" song.
Yeah, like who was getting called?
I don't know.
Like Betsy at home, who like
I guess
and just answers every single phone call
and listens to the radio. I guess.
Yeah.
I had forgotten that "Are You Happy Now" was researching well.
Yeah. But it was just, I think, a lot of radio stations. Number one, it was our first time at radio.
Yeah.
And I think...
And that song, I mean, it's a great song, but I mean, it's a ballad, I guess.
And it's heavy.
And it's heavy. Yeah. That is so funny.
Yeah.
So what is radio tour? We need to go into that, of what it actually means to be on radio tour.
Again, we were in the car...
Yes.
Driving. I think we would hit like sometimes 3 cities a day. And you walk into the radio station. Sometimes you bring lunch depending on the time of day. And you go into this dry, neon light lit conference room.
Yeah.
And the worst ones were the ones that were at like 7 a.m. Because you look crusty. Like you're tired. You walk in there and you got to turn the charm on. You just meet all the radio people, the DJs, like the marketing people, literally
the interns, the program directors, the like random guy who's like fixing the light that day. Like literally you are just walking into these radio stations and you're trying to get people to like you. Yeah. That is truly the name of the game of radio tour.
You sing them some songs.
Acoustic.
Yes.
Just you and the guitar.
And then you're literally just trying to get them to like you.
Yeah, you just hang out.
Yeah.
For X amount of time in a conference room with these people that you've never met. And you sing your song and you just hang out.
Take some pics.
And it's funny because you think every time you go, you would think, oh, like, oh, this radio station like wants us to come. That is not the case.
They get people multiple times a week that come in.
Yes, just like you.
Yeah.
And I feel like there was multiple times where we walked in and we were like, these people do not know our song, they do not know us, because at the time we were on YouTube, so it's like they've never seen our YouTube videos, they've never seen anything, they do not care about us at all, and you are still walking in there at 7 a.m. with your little guitar and your little songs and your little donuts from Dunkin' Donuts or whatever that your label is paying for. And you're like, I have to get these complete strangers to like me.
Yep.
And that is radio tour. And then
I could not imagine doing that as a solo artist.
Oh,
by the way.
No, I'm so thankful that we had each other.
Yeah.
And also something that was weird was you did have to pay for everything like that you brought in.
Yeah.
It was literally whining and dining these radio stations.
Yes.
So it wasn't like, oh, you walk in and the radio station's buying you lunch. Like you are buying lunch for 12 people.
Yeah. Or if you're at a radio station in the evening, sometimes we would go out to actual dinner with the program director. But in our case, Bob usually knew the program director or
so
the person.
So awkward.
Yeah, or the person we went out to dinner with. So it wasn't like super awkward, but
keep in mind we were
18
years old.
Yeah.
18, 19, I would say. Just 2 18, 19-year-old girls sitting with these program directors who were like 40-year-old men, and like Bob, who was in his 40s, had a family, and then just at some random restaurant.
Yeah.
Which, let's get into that.
Yeah.
Let's get into
the creepy side of the radio industry.
Yeah. So luckily we never really experienced a ton.
Yeah, I was gonna say I can think of a couple stories on top of my head right now that were creepy.
Yeah. So these people know that they hold power, and they know that you're desperate, for lack of a better word, to get your song played, because as we just went over earlier in this podcast, radio is everything. It's touring, it's tickets, it's whatever.
It's keeping your label happy.
Yeah. And I mean, they know that they hold so much power. And so they will get your number, they will get your Snapchat, they will get your Instagram. I personally had a lot of issues with a few men.
Yes.
Who had my Snapchat specifically, who would just like snap me randomly and be like, you know, oh, you're so beautiful, or like, you know, just being really unprofessional. Because like at the end of the day, like, this is a professional situation, and these 30, 40-year-old men would be Snapchatting me, you know, like, you look so gorgeous today, you know, all this stuff. And I was extremely uncomfortable, but you have to be professional. Because at that point, I mean, looking back now, I think now I would maybe just not respond, or be a little bit more, I don't know, aggressive about it. But back then, I was 19 years old. Yeah, and I was like, young. Yeah, and I was like, oh my gosh, like, this man has all the power. And if I'm not nice to him, if I don't say like, oh my gosh, thank you so much, like, can't wait to see you in wherever, he's not going to play my song. And that's not only letting down me, it's letting down Megan, it's letting down Bob, it's letting down our label. So like, I have to respond to this creepy Snapchat, and he's going to keep doing it. He's going to keep doing it. And
you know what's so funny too, looking back, is it only happened to you because you're like so the nice one. I was not approachable. Like, I was scary back then. Like, I was just like really tired and like really in my own lane. And I feel like I just like did not give off a vibe of like I would have been mean back probably, you know? But again, that kind of goes back to, just because as a woman, if you're nice, that's not an invitation.
Yeah. And that's especially like in the music industry. Like, and again, like, we didn't experience a ton of that because we were always together.
That's so true.
And there weren't opportunities for us to be cornered or put in uncomfortable situations. But when you're Snapchatting or texting or Instagram DMing or whatever, that's kind of like an isolating thing.
Yes.
Of like, oh my gosh, like, he expects me to like Snapchat him right now. Yeah. Like a picture or whatever.
You're beautiful.
Yeah. And I'm trying to, like, there was some creepier things said than that. Like, I'm being
we should recount we don't have to say who the artist was, but we went to a showcase once in Nashville.
Oh, we can say who the artist is. I
don't think we need to say the artist, but it was a young female artist, and we went to her showcase, and we heard the radio people in front of us say,
oh, like, I'll add her over and over and over again. I'll add her all day. And these, I mean, 50-year-old men just looking at this artist who is young, beautiful, incredibly talented, is a huge star now. And they were just completely, they didn't care about how amazing her song was. They didn't care about how amazing she was singing. They were just like, I can't, like, I would add her over and over and over.
Like, that is disgusting.
That is so disgusting. And they were two random program directors. I didn't personally know who they were.
It was during CRS week,
which is Country Radio Summit.
Yeah.
So that's when all of the program directors from across the country come to Nashville and meet up.
That was one of my like final straws with the creepiness.
But I don't think that artist went that way.
No, like, some artists will.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Is like, I don't think this artist. That's why I was like, I don't know that we necessarily need to protect her. She was not. I don't think that she got to where she was because of, she was like, for lack of a better statement, sleeping with the program directors. But people do that.
Yes,
and that is a fact.
Or just sleeping with the right person at the radio station,
which is like crazy, but it happens. People talk about Harvey Weinstein and the casting couches and stuff like that. It was happening at least 10 years ago. We were seeing it often.
And I wouldn't be surprised if in the next few years some sort of music documentary comes out about radio and more people come forward. I mean, obviously the thing with Dr. Luke and Kesha that came out, and that was just, I feel like, the tip of the iceberg in the music industry.
Absolutely. Because when you look at Dr. Luke, like he was so high up that like you almost don't think about, yes, he was like this figurehead and everything, and he was so powerful, but what's more scary to think about is all these people across the country in radio stations thinking that they are in a position like Dr. Luke.
Yes.
And taking advantage of people that way. Like that's what's so scary about this whole thing. And that's why it's got to come out at some point.
And I think it will.
Yeah. And again, I don't know if it's still happening today, but we definitely saw that happening 10 years ago.
I'm sure it's still happening. There's no, I mean, unless, everything's starting to come out, scared everybody into doing it. But I have a feeling that it's definitely still happening. On a more positive note, I think we should talk about some of our favorite radio shows that stick out in our heads.
And who we've met and who we've played radio shows with is really fun.
Fun little tidbits about the people.
Yeah. So radio shows means basically the radio station will put on a show at, whether it be a Six Flags.
Let's not forget, this is not one of my favorite ones, Sing It or Wing It.
Oh.
This was literally, it was a radio show at a literal wing restaurant. So it can be anything from a big show to a show
Sing
at
It
a
or Wing It. That will always be Running of the Chihuahuas.
Oh, that was, but that was like a thing in
It was a thing,
Chattanooga.
yeah. But you will find yourself in the most random situations.
Yes.
Singing your songs to people who do or don't care.
Oh, never forget the Halloween party in Portland.
Oh my gosh.
It was like a late night show for us.
It was a 21 plus club and we were not 21.
Yeah. And people were grinding to Bad for Me. So it's really been.
And we were singing in full costume.
Yes.
People were grinding to Bad for Me.
I was in a pirate's costume.
I was in a zombie prom queen outfit.
Yes.
And we were ushered in and out of the club for our performance because we weren't 21. So we weren't even legally allowed to be in the club.
So basically, we played a lot of radio shows over the years, and they have really ranged in wing restaurant to arena.
Yeah.
So I think we should recount some of our favorites.
Favorite radio show ever.
I mean, it's the same as yours. It's Christmas Bash, Buffalo, for a number of reasons, because they played our song so much. So everybody in the arena knew Bad for Me. Number two, I loved everybody there. I loved the team. I loved the DJs. I loved the fans in that area were just so great. And also I got to sing Two is Better Than One with Martin Johnson.
Yes, you did.
On stage in an arena. I was Taylor Swift.
You had your Taylor moment, that's for sure.
I was Taylor Swift for a night, so.
Yeah, you were. I was like filming, it's like, it was so good. No, I mean, I agree. And we shared a dressing room, not a dressing room, but it was an arena, so the rooms were kind of just like
next to each other.
Next door to each other with Ed Sheeran.
And that was like probably our 5th or 6th show with him at that point.
Yeah.
So we were like, us and Ed, we were like buds at that point. And he's still to this day like one of the nicest artists. Him and Russell Dickerson are.
I will never forget. He was talking to us about like how he like lost weight. Do you remember this?
Oh yeah. And he was like, the secret to losing weight is to stop drinking beer.
Yeah. And we were just like, okay.
And we were like 20 at this point. So
we had never like drinking a beer in our lives. And we were like,
I had never had a beer in my entire life.
We were like, thanks, Ed.
Like, thanks for the advice, Ed.
Oh man.
So yours is Buffalo too.
Yeah, for sure. My favorite one.
What was your least favorite?
Gosh, it was, I remember, so something was super toxic that we used to do is we used to play these radio shows and then immediately after the show was over, we would search Megan and Liz on Twitter, not our like at replies or anything. We would just search like people who were tweeting Megan and
Which
Liz.
I feel like nowadays is equivalent to going on Reddit and searching your name.
Yes, that is so accurate.
Like, you're not going to find anything good or nice.
No, but I remember, and we would reply back to everybody who was mean to us, like something so snarky. Like, why? But
we should, that was just young. We were insecure.
Well, I mean, we were always nice, but I remember just like, whatever.
Yeah.
But I remember Johnson City. Does that sound right to you?
Yes.
I remember that show specifically. It was a really big venue. It was like probably 1,000 people.
Yeah, that was a big, yeah.
Yeah, 1,200 people. And Johnson City gave us no love. Like, I feel like there was nobody there for us. Do you remember that?
Yeah, I do.
Like, there was just, because like we talked about, like either the city played your song or they didn't.
And also, I feel like that was a very male-heavy show.
Yeah, no, it was like male heavy, and it was like girls who wanted to see the males.
Yeah,
like,
exactly. Which
that makes sense.
Yeah, so all the girls were probably thinking like, oh, they get to meet the artist.
Yes.
And they just like instantly hated us.
Yes.
Like there was no hope.
I remember that show, playing the show and looking at everybody in the crowd and being like, oh my gosh, everybody
The dirty
hates
looks.
us. Yes. I was like, wow, we are getting roasted right now.
Yeah.
Like, it didn't matter if we sang everybody's favorite song in the world, like,
Or if we were the best singers in the
yeah,
world.
we were just getting roasted. And then I remember looking at Twitter after and just being like,
You're like, that's exactly what I thought.
yeah. So that's like one that I just like sticks out in my head as being negative, like a negative experience and not feeling good on stage. But what was that one we played with Cody Simpson? That was tough.
Oh, that was one of my least favorites for sure.
Was that in Long Island?
No, it was in New York.
Yeah, that's why I said, like, I thought it was like Long Island. It was like on the water or something.
It wasn't. It was like upstate New York.
Okay.
But yes, it was like on a lake or some water.
It was on some sort of water.
That was a bad one too. I vividly remember looking out into the audience and seeing a girl going like this.
Yeah.
Like giving me just like the worst, like, ew, I hate you face I've ever seen in my entire life.
Because that's another thing. I'm sure this is still a thing today, but back then it was a really big heyday of like Justin Bieber, Cody Simpson, The Wanted. It was
All-Star Weekend.
All-Star Weekend. It was very much like the girls were going crazy for the boys type thing. And we were some of the only girls at that point.
Yeah, it was a very like young male heavy market.
Connor Maynard.
Yes.
Like all of these cute boys where they had great songs, but a lot of their appeal was because the girls just loved them.
Yes.
And oh my gosh, that Cody Simpson show, that was so tough.
Was bad.
No,
and Cody was so
he was so nice.
So it was not his fault at all.
No.
It was just it was tough to be a girl at that point.
Yeah, because the other girls were mean, man.
Yeah,
and
mean.
it's like you don't know them, and you're standing on a stage, and these girls are just like giving you the dirtiest looks. They don't care about your songs. They don't care about your craft, and you've come all this way from wherever we were. You know, we brought our team, we brought our guitars, we brought our band, we did our hair and makeup, we picked our outfits, we did all of this, and then to stand up on the stage and have like girls look at you and be that hostile.
And it was also such a drastic difference between our fans, because our fans are like the sweetest, like girl, want to be your best friend, want everything for you and more. And I think those were the first instances where we were like, oh my gosh, like, number one, our fans are the best in the entire world. They're such great people, but also our first experience with not all fans are like that.
Yeah, but that's what you get when you play a radio show.
Yes.
Because it is such a mixed bag of audience members, because you're playing a show with Cody Simpson, you're playing a show with Train, you're playing a show with like Connor Maynard, you're playing a show with Ed Sheeran, just Sean Kingston, you know what I mean? Like you're gonna have such a mixed bag of audience members, and that is what's really hard about radio shows. I thought.
I agree.
The roasting on stage was hard.
The roasting.
Yeah. Oh yeah, you were never paid.
Yeah. Oh, that's the other thing. Going back to like, we showed up.
Yeah.
We were, you don't get paid for radio shows.
No, it doesn't matter how. Listen, I mean, do you think Ed Sheeran was getting paid?
No.
You don't think so?
I was under the impression the entire time we were at radio that radio shows were like a do good for the radio station, like a thank you for playing my song, and like if you do this show, odds are that they'll play your song more. It was kind of like a hand in hand thing, like you do this, you scratch my back, I'll scratch yours type thing.
I really do wonder, and we don't know the answer to this, but like you've got to think that some of those bigger bands and stuff were getting paid. You know what? The only time I can think of getting paid for anything involving radio, this is so random.
Okay.
It was in Indianapolis, and we played a radio show with Ryan Beatty.
Oh, sweet Ryan.
Yeah. And Andrea Russett was working at the radio station.
Yes.
And we played the show, but then they paid us $500. The radio station paid us $500. Do you not remember this?
Mm-mm.
To go roller skate after? Like to show up to the roller skate like place?
When I say
You don't remember that?
I remember the roller skate.
No, we got paid. Just because they wanted us to tweet about it and like have people come.
Maybe that's why they paid us, because it was like promotion.
Yeah, more like an influencer type thing.
Mm-hmm.
I honestly don't know, but that is the only time that I can remember ever being paid by a radio station, was for that instance. And that wasn't even for a performance. That was just for us to like show up at this radio station event after the show.
I mean, there was a lot we didn't know about what was going on behind the scenes in our career. So, I mean, who knows? Maybe we were getting paid for every show. I don't know.
Oh my gosh, that is so true.
We will dive into that.
Yeah, at some point.
Yeah.
I think we were very young. We were very naive.
Very trusting.
Very trusting. Yeah, dude, oh my God. What if we were getting paid for those shows and we didn't know?
Wish I could say it wouldn't surprise me, but
I don't think we were.
Wish I could say it would surprise me.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I don't know.
I don't know. Bridget Mendler's doing, I can't even figure out. Bridget Mendler's doing, like, she went to MIT and I can't figure out what, my brain's not working right now.
Oh, Bridge. We're so, you go, girl.
Yeah. We should rename this episode Go Bridget Mendler.
You won, Bridget Mendler. Ready or not, Bridget Mendler.
Here you come.
Here you go. Oh.
All right. Well, I feel like that is the end of the radio episode. I feel like we touched on mostly everything I wanted to touch on.
Yeah. I think we hit all the tea.
Yeah.
We hit all the dirt.
Mm-hmm.
We asked some questions to ourselves that were we getting paid?
Although I think I want to end
the
podcast with the train story at this radio show.
Of course. It's great. It's
like the most annoying thing ever. So we were playing this radio show it was New Jersey, and it was a big radio show. It was like a small arena, and it was us, Carly Rae Jepsen, Boys Like Girls, Train, Connor Maynard. There might have been somebody else I can't think of. It was a pretty big one. Mm-hmm. And we walk backstage, and Train decides they just won all the dressing rooms. So
every single one of them.
Every single one of the dressing rooms. So it was Boys Like Girls, Connor Maynard, us, and Carly Rae Jepsen all sharing. I think it was like a locker room.
Yeah.
Because Train wanted all the dressing rooms. And that just left a bad taste in my mouth. So
bye, Soul Sister.
Bye, Soul Sister.
Well, that is it. Thank you so much for listening, and stay tuned. We're going to have some more episodes about all of the crazy stuff that we know and have learned over our careers.
But we're also going to get, we have a few personal episodes planned as well. Yeah. This is kind of just, it's a Megan and Liz podcast. You never know what you're going to get.
Never know. But thank you so much for listening, and we'll talk to you guys next time.
Bye.
Bye.